Hi honeys, how are you? Tanyanishailoc here, and of course welcome back to my YouTube channel. What's popping, what's well, and of course all that particular kind of good stuff over there. If this is your first time over here, yes, first of all, welcome to the channel. Make it a point that you smash the subscribe button. I'm a medical student, and of course I do videos about my medical career. I'm a beautician chai, or a beautician guru, or a beauty guru. It means I'm a makeup artist, and of course I do wear makeup, and of course I do work on other people's makeup, and of course on top of that I'm also kind of a fashionistic kind of holic, meaning that I also do videos about fashion. So literally, if you are in the right place, please do subscribe, and of course do share out the video, and of course all that. As you have seen from the thumbnail and of course the title of the video, today we are going to be of course diving into a little bit of that juicy part of the nursing circle or the nursing school. I think in the last few kind of weeks or months I've not made any video about nursing, but here it is, and I hope that it's important to you. I'm going to be talking about of course the basics to expect, or the basics to focus on, especially when you're looking into different options of course of nursing schools. So without any further ado, let us just dive into the video right now. Basics of a better nursing school, it's an option I think that goes from person to person. As different people, we do have different opinions, and of course different thoughts, of course, of different perceptions about how we want to be treated, which particular services of course have to be provided to us, and especially we look at the cost, especially the amount of tuition we are going to be paying, and we always of course anticipate and of course expect that kind of tuition to be merging with our etiquities or our expectations. But it's very important for you as a nursing student, especially when you are looking out for nursing school in the first place, to concentrate all your thoughts and of course all your kind of thinking onto which and of course how, and all that particular kind of leveling, which, how, and will it be able to accomplish this, where is it located, and the history, of course, all that. So that's what you're going to be tackling in today's video. So literally the first part, or the first point to focus on, especially as a major basic, is location of the nursing school. Most of the nursing schools right now, which I know, especially in Uganda where I am, or in my country, Uganda where I am, right now they are equally distributed. Not so equally distributed, but at least I know that in most of the rural areas, especially those areas around or far away from Kampala, and of course Wakiso, and most of the town areas here in the central, they do also have nursing schools. And for you as a person, of course, when you are looking out for nursing schools, I would recommend you very much to look at the location of that nursing school. Is it in the city or is it in the village? And if it's in the city, can you cope up with noise in that kind of area? Can you cope up with the many different people? Can you cope up with the transport, the accommodation, the expenditure, and of course all that? Though when you talk that it's in the village, can you cope up with the silentism or the low population? Can you cope up with the low expenditure of living? Can you cope up with all that? So that's what I mean when I talk about the location of the nursing school. And it might not be only that, because location has a lot of factors attached to it. Because if you know that you are in the city, you know how you expect that the expenditures are going to be a little bit more high. Your costs of living might be a little bit high, and of course the tuition might also change to be a little bit higher, which is not the same case in the village or the rural areas. Just clearing out of the air, know the location of the school. Is it in the village? Is it in the city? Are you going abroad? Like, are you going to abroad? Are you going to study in Kenya or in Tanzania? Especially here in Uganda, a lot of students tend to get out of the country, then go to our neighboring countries, and they do study from there nursing, which is fine and okay, because we're in the same region. All of us, we're East Africans. But can you cope up with the new standard of living you are going in? It's a very important kind of factor linked onto location of the school. And I hope that before you do any decision, especially when you are going into nursing school, you look critical onto this point, location of the nursing school. It would literally make a lot. Second point that I think is very important for you to put into consideration, it is the performance history of the institution. This is the point that a lot of students don't look at, but me as a person, I've always loved and of course liked very perfectorate kind of things, and I live by perfection. And it's only one of these days that I'm trying to cut down that pace, but I've always lived for perfection. I really love something. If I'm going to pay for a particular service, I really want it in full, and I want it in its perfect form, as provided or as promised. And when you look at this point, for people such as me, the performance history of the school, it's always important for me to give the validation, to calculate out the math, the simple math in my school, how in case I go to that kind of institution, my results will be, and of course after results, and of course all that. So under performance history of the school, I would really literally love you, first of all, to find out, and of course find out which classes are taught at that kind of institution. If it's a nursing school, and of course it has some allied meaning lab, clinical medicine, and of course all that, please sit down, do analyze very well, know which particular kind of courses they do provide, and the classes are meaning courses. And on top of that, try to follow up those students, of course, who have ever studied at that school. Try to follow up after of course having started from that kind of institution. Where did they get their jobs? Did they were their certificates valid? Were they working? Is life well? They try to give you an accountability about their school and of course the institution, which I love because I did use it. I got a lot of information before I entered into my nursing school that it prompted me to enter into the nursing school. So the third point under performance history, I would literally recommend you again to search for the performance, yes, in general, the percentage of the passing, the percentage of the failure, because every institution, I think that they have those particular kind of students that will always pass, and of course the percentage of the failure. Weigh out, know how you are going to be able, of course, to integrate and of course fit into that society. If a lot of students do pass, no. If a lot of students do fail, no. And of course calculate out your, not forgetting, also know very well the tutors of the institution or the professors, how do they teach, and of course all that, because it's also a very key factor. The way of learning, is it through digital, is it through writing notes, is it through all that? Try to calculate very well all that math of the tutors or the teachers. How do they teach, how do they conduct themselves? All this can be got through the history, through those students, of course, who gone through the kind of institution. But I know a lot of you guys will be like, Tanya, excuse me, how am I going to know the students who went into that kind of institution? If not, try to get that history about those students, of course, from that environment. You never know, people who need things, you have to always look for them now. Third point that I find very important, it's the history of the school. Remember, in summary, so far we have talked about the first point. Do you remember the first point, you guys? So literally the first point we talked about the location. The second point we have talked about the performance history. The third point we want to talk about the history of the school itself. So in the history of the school itself, it's very important for you also as a person to know what you are getting into, what you are getting your life into. You can get this history about the school or the institution around the populations around the school, about people who recommend it due to the school. You can also get this through the students who have studied to the school. The history and meaning how the school conducts itself in general. How does it treat its students? How does it treat its particular kind of education basis? How does it treat all the tutors and of course the non-educational staff, and of course all that, because it's important that at the end of the day, I know a lot of you guys will be like, oh my god, that's not my, I'll keep my distance. But the thing is, getting all this information is going to be important to you, of course, to know how and when to treat your kind of leaders in the school at the end of the day. So it's very important to know the history of the school. Very important, of course, for you to know the history about your institution, know when it started, know its years of operation, how does it treat its students, and of course all that. At the end of the day, I assure you all that is going to be important when you know that what you entered into, or literally what you bumped your life into. I accomplish up the video. I also want to talk about the costs and of course the expenditures. It's also a very, very important point. I'll literally base this point onto the other tuition video I made literally recently. I'm going to be leaving it up here. If you can, please go watch it. But it's very important for you to know the cost and of course the expenditure. You're going to be in a hostel, girl. If not, know your status. Know your status and meaning, of course, find the best way, of course, to approach this. And also, if you're not going to be in the status, know very, very well, of course, are you going to be able to travel from home daily to school? And on top of that, the tuition you're going to be paying. I recently made a video about tuition. I say that I'm going to leave it up here. Go watch it immediately after this. But know the tuition, know your cost of living you are going to be standing on, your budget, your expenditure. It's very important. what you're supposed to be paying for, what you're supposed not to be paying for. Most of the cash that literally squanders or is wasted into nursing school, it literally goes to photocopying work and getting plain papers, and of course printers, and of course all that. But know best how you're going to be handling your notes. It will be very, very important at the end of as it comes to the conclusion of the video. Thank you guys very much for watching the video up to this point. It literally makes my YT life, my YouTube life, another comfortable kind of space. And of course, as you see my face, I'm a little bit glammed up for you guys, so make sure that you like the video, and of course comment something in the comment section below. If the video was important to you, please do recommend it out. Basics of nursing school and basics of picking a nursing school. Do share it out to every nursing student, of course, you know, is starting out nursing school. Remember to give the video a thumbs up, and of course I've already talked about that. Let me meet you in my next video. Remember that smartness, elegancy, and of course exploring the magic of your subconscious mind. We are talking about 2020 Tanyanishailoc switching out. Bye for now.